Welcome to Hamilton County TV. I'm Perry Williams, and alongside me today is Coach Scott McClelland of the Noblesville Millers. Welcome, Coach.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hey, Coach, end of the season last night, picked up a victory. Overall record this year, 20-2, but sectional time, we had a drawing, so the 20-2 is kind of, even though it was a great season, it's sectional time. But let's talk a little bit about that season and some of the positive and some of the concerns that you have.
Oh, I mean, I think anytime you can win 20 games in a season, you have to be happy with that. I mean, what was the old adage that regardless what happened in the tournament, if you won 15 games, you had a great year, and in college it used to be 20. I mean, I think we've had a really good season. Obviously, finished the regular season 20-2. It's really encouraging. We've done a good job of just kind of growing throughout the course of the season. I think we're playing pretty good defense right now. We've been able to play a couple different tempos here this year. And I think here in these last 8 games, I think 4 of them have been running clocks. So, I mean, that's encouraging. We've had different guys score, make some plays. We've had several contributions in many different facets this year. So, good year. Obviously, this is the time of year everybody looks forward to, and, ultimately everybody's trying to win the first week of March, and here it is.
Yeah, the one thing about it, I was looking at the stats this morning, and you got a player-wise, you have 9 players that are 3 points or more, and then 3 players in double figures, and Fine and Walston and Curry's right there on the border of 9.6, 9.7. So let's call that 10. So you have a pretty balanced attack, and the one thing about it is those guys that are coming off the bench have contributed a lot this year, especially inside.
Yeah, I mean, I think our depth overall this year has been really good, and we've been able to use it and utilize it in a variety of different manners, and 3 in double figures, but we've had some different guys score in double figures throughout the course of this year, and I think we've got interchangeable parts, so that that helps us overall. I mean, I think Will Smiths and Aiden Brewer have really been productive. You look sometimes maybe at their points. I mean, it's probably not going to catch your eye. Even sometimes maybe they're rebounding, but it's some of the other stuff that doesn't show up in the box score that they're just playing to their they're playing their role, and they're thriving in their role, and I mean, it's easy to get wrapped up in maybe Aaron and Hunter to a degree, but I think Justin, the thing that I think with Justin, he's playing really good defense right now, and I think Barron Walker has played really good minutes for us throughout the course of the season. I thought TJ Davidson, especially early, and then unfortunately got hurt and injured and had to miss, I think, 6 games. He's coming back the way he was playing there, November and December. So,
absolutely.
So I'm really excited about him. I think Ryan Veter's kind of coming into his own, and we still, we can still, if we need to, we can bring Luke Etchison in a couple of different roles. So, I mean, we've got some size and versatility and depth. So, I think that builds well, and it's done well for us throughout the course of this season.
Yeah, the one thing about it is that I've noticed over the season that the Smiths and Veter and even Etchison, when they come in a ball game, I mean, and there's not, we don't talk about it enough, but they set some good screens. The ball goes to the floor, especially Veter and Smiths. I mean, they're on it. I mean, and those 50-50 balls are very important in a basketball game, especially early when the game's tight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think with several of those guys, they do some things that don't necessarily show up in the box scores, and have just really, we talk all the time about accepting your role and then thriving in it, and we've had several guys do that this year.
Absolutely. Coming into this sectional, I mean, it's a sad situation to think that 1, 2, and 3 in the state are in this sectional, and 2 of the teams beat you earlier in the season, but and then Zionsville give us a pretty good game too. So what that was
62-59.
Yeah, 62-59, and so the competition's really good, and it's very unusual. The Carmel Greyhounds are just a little above 500, which is very unusual for a Ryan Osborne team, but the only loss Fishers has this year is to the Carmel Greyhounds, because the Carmel really came on at the end of the season.
They did, and I think when you look at the sectional, you say, well, 1, 2, and 3, but for me, I mean, every team's got double-digit wins, and has wins over each other.
Yeah,
and I think Carmel might be one of the hottest teams in the state. They certainly have grown and improved a lot. I've had some really nice wins here of late. I think Zionsville's very dangerous with the two-headed monster of McGuire and Snively, and then Hamlin Southeastern, which kind of, I think this year nobody mentions them much, but I mean, here they are sitting 15 wins and a recent win over Carmel, and I think they have maybe the best athlete in the section, certainly in the discussion of the best athletes, not necessarily the best basketball player, but I just think Donovan Hamilton's a really good athlete, so I mean, there's just 6 teams. There's nobody you just say, hey gosh, I hope we draw them. And I'm sure if you pulled the other guys, the other coaches in this section, I think they'd probably say the same thing, like, gosh, I don't want to play them, but it is what it is, and the draw's out, and now you just got to play, and we're 0-0, and so are a lot of other teams that are done now. I know some teams throughout the course of or throughout the state still have a game maybe Thursday or Friday, but this time of year is what everybody gears up for, what you play for. You do all your preseason and summer workouts for, and it should be an exciting sectional atmosphere for sure. It's always an exciting time,
Oh, absolutely.
Start of March and the high school tournament, the state tournament, and then you throw in the NCAA tournament. So it's a fun time. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, I think the one thing about this past week, an important thing happened in the state of Indiana was the NBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis. But the one thing that I took from it when I watched all the pregame and information and all that is they talked about what basketball meant in Indiana, which is, everyone said, it's totally different in Indiana than it is in any other state. So,
I think, just our tradition, our history, from, you look at everything that's transpired throughout the course of Indiana high school basketball, and the way it just brings communities and schools together, and I fully anticipate you'll see sold out crowds for ours, amongst several others throughout the course of the state. I have no doubt that, the first one that comes to my mind is the 1A sectional down at Lagodi and Bar Reeve and Orleans. Those guys will be playing in front of 4,000 people, and I'm sure the sectional over at Newcastle and the 3A will be great crowds, and obviously I think the 4A sectional at Greenfield with Anderson and Mount Vernon and New Pal and Pendleton Heights, and it's just, you're going to see great crowds every night, regardless of class, regardless of logistics or area of the state. It's just, people still love it, and that's what makes it fun. It really does.
And the one thing that in the Hoosier Crossroad Conference, of course, I've been at this for a while in broadcasting, and of course I grew up here and everything, but the one thing about it is that I think sometimes people really forget is the coaching, okay? And it's not just Coach Mack, or it's not Ryan Osborne over at Carmel, or Sumter at Westfield. You have a staff of very, very good coaches that possibly could, or no doubt, could be coaching other teams in the state of Indiana.
For sure. I mean, I'm biased, but
absolutely.
We have the best coaching staff in the state, and that's not a put down or a shot at anybody else. That's simply a compliment to our guys. I mean, I really believe that. I mean, and we work well together, and what's nice is we're able to, we make each other better, and we have good discussion, good dialogue of, maybe, okay, how we want to defend this, how we want to defend that. But, I think our staff and Matt Fine and Jake Hoffman, Mike Bennett and Chris Schrank and Corby Mertens is just outstanding. And I'd put us up against anybody, I really would. And it's just a nice luxury for me to be able to, have that flexibility, but also have that comfort that the guys that you don't have to worry about, like, are they teaching the right stuff, or scouting report, or they they just, you just let them go and do what they do and do what they do well, and it's really paid great dividends to this year, and I think even last year. There's just so much that goes on. You got to be able to use other people, and I think our, you look at the sectionals again, and you look at the staffs of, Carmel obviously comes to my mind, and when I think of Walt Morris and Todd Howard and Josh McRoberts, I mean, I know Garrett Weininger's got a good group of guys, and I hate even mentioning a couple names because I know I'm leaving guys out.
You go on and on.
But, I mean, the Westfield group, I mean, you're not out coaching anyone. It's just, everybody's that good. And so you just gotta make sure that you're dotting all your I's and crossing your T's and putting yourself and your kids in a position to be successful. But, ultimately you gotta play. And you gotta play the game, and, gosh, I look over at Zionsville, and you got a Hall of Famer sitting there. And Jimmy Howe, and it's like, it's just, it is. I mean, the staffs, the coaching is just such top-notch quality, good guys too. I mean, you want to beat them, but really, I enjoy the camaraderie with all the guys in our sectional. Obviously, I want to beat them every night that we got to play, but it makes it more fun. It really does, and it makes it more difficult, but it makes it, that's part of what you signed up for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, I know you got a lot of things to get done. I know you're finishing up, taking a look at stuff from last night's game, and then of course looking to Zionsville and the first game, and we're at the mill, and you got the first game right out of the gate here at probably one of the biggest sectionals around the state. So it's an exciting time.
It really is. It's a fun time. It's an exciting time. A little nerve-wracking as a coach, but in a good way. But for fans and people that just love Indiana high school basketball, this is one of the best times of the year. Absolutely.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. As always, it's fun to do this interview and talk to you and look at some of the things that you have to say about this upcoming tournament and the season. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right.